Joanne Reid went on The Daily Show earlier this week, and she made some comments that are being pretty universally derided. So let's listen, and then we'll discuss.
Let's pivot and talk about the Democrats then, because you would think in any other time, in any other place, going up against Donald Trump would mean you are a shoo-in, right? You're going to win this thing, you're going to take it all. And yet it feels like the Democrats themselves are experiencing rifts, they're experiencing a lack of focus. It doesn't seem like there is a concrete message that's going to move them forward.
Well, this is the Democrats. I mean, this is kind of who they are. They're very disorganized. The Democrats are not, they're not good at the sort of go for the jugular, hard-nosed politics they used to be.
Right.
Back when the Democrats were more of sort of an ethnic party. They were kind of an ethnic white, ethnic black, ethnic party generally. Now they're a party that's looking for consensus, and they look for it, you know, so desperately that they never really come up with a coherent frame for themselves.
What do you mean when you say that?
Because Democrats, although they understand, I think, deep down that they're the party of black and brown people, of gay people, of marginalized people.
Right.
They still long to be the party of the sort of Pabst Blue Ribbon voter, the kind of Coors Light drinking voter.
Could they not be both, though? Why could they not be both?
Because those voters are Republicans. Do you
think definitively across the board?
Yeah, I think that vote has migrated from being a Democratic Party vote to a Republican Party vote, and it has done for the last 40 years.
Right.
Democrats just can't accept it. So they don't understand that the voters they long to have back, those voters who, the sort of Archie Bunker voter that was a Democrat in the 70s, is now a Republican. And so they can long for them all they want. They're not going to convince them by saying, we'll give you free college. That's not why they're voting.
Right.
They're voting, and the way I kind of put it is this way. People say, well, why do people vote against their economic interests? Why don't they vote values? Democrats vote against their economic interests. If you live in New York and you make, you know, New York salary, you're voting against your economic interests whenever you vote for Democrats. They raise your taxes. You vote your values. So why do you think that people on the other side don't do the same? They're not voting economics. They're voting because the Republican Party represents their values. They don't care about the economics. So Democrats keep trying to use economic lures to pull them back in, but that's not why they're voting that way.
Hillary Clinton used the thing that you're advocating for, and she lost. So you're saying, well, I mean, come on, ignore the white working class voter, only focus on identity politics, and that's the Democrats need to own it, that's what they are. So, and she said it, you can't be both. You can't be the party of black, brown, and gay people and white working class voters. You can't be both. She said it. She said they're Republicans now. So run on identity politics and you'll win. But that's what Hillary did. And she lost. She lost. She didn't go to the Rust Belt and, campaign hard against outsourcing jobs and stupid so-called free trade deals. She didn't do that. She didn't run an unapologetic campaign on Medicare for all and free college. She didn't do that. In fact, only 25% of her ads were on policy. That's it. Only 25%. So she doesn't run a campaign based on economic policy and just policy substance in general. She loses. And then Joanne Reid says, man, definitely don't try the opposite of what Hillary did. But Hillary lost doing what you want her to do. So what do you mean? And then furthermore, it's like she's never read a poll in her life. All these things that you're making fun of are things that are overwhelmingly popular. You want to know how I know it'll work if somebody runs on free college? Free college gets 60% support among the American people. You know how I know it'll work if people run on Medicare for all? Medicare for all has 60% support among the American people. Medicare itself has 77% support. You want to know how I know somebody will win if they run on taxing the rich? That has 60% support. You go down the line here. Virtually everything that the populist left stands for is something that's overwhelmingly popular. Living wage. Are you kidding me? If you run on a living wage, 80% of the American people want to raise the minimum wage. 80%. There are even more Republicans that support raise the minimum wage than don't. There's even more Republicans that support Medicare for all than don't. So you have these ideas that are overwhelmingly popular according to the polls. And Joanne Reid goes, no, you can't win if you run on those. And by the way, the person who most strongly advocates for those things right now is the most popular politician in America, by far and away. The only guy who's out there consistently talking about these things all across the country, Bernie Sanders, is a guy who is by far and away the most popular politician in the country. And Joy-Ann Reid says, no, don't go in that direction. And also, she has such weird implications in there, as if black and brown people don't want free college, and somehow free college is only supposed to appeal to white working class voters, and economic interests are only supposed to appeal to white working class voters. How preposterous is that? As if people of color and gay people and minority groups don't also want a living wage, free college, Medicare for all, ending the wars, doing a new deal to rebuild our infrastructure. It's like she's looking for the least accurate opinion to then give that. Like, how can I say something stupid? Let me see here. Don't run on things that are overwhelmingly popular, that the overwhelming majority of the American people want, like free college. No, don't do that. Only run on identity politics. And also, so even if the Democrats got every single minority voter in the country, they wouldn't win. Do you not get that? So even if she doesn't like the white working class voters, you still need them. Do you not get that? The math, the way the math works, you're still going to need white working class voters. And you don't need to do that. You don't need to gain white working class voters by shitting on minority voters. You don't have to do that. There are ideas and policies that appeal to both of them very strongly. And that also gets you crossover voters from the right. So, what the fuck, man? It's almost like she's a host on a corporate media network. And it's almost like that corporate media network, the last thing they want is a living wage legislation, free college, Medicare for all. It's almost like corporate interests have brought her to the point of saying, don't push anti-corporate policies, Democrats, only run on identity politics. Interesting, because when you run on social issues and identity politics, there's really very little consequence for corporations now, isn't there? There are people who actually like her. There are people who think she's populist left. The fuck are you talking about, man? This is... Ugh. She's as a corporate Democrat as you can get, and her analysis is horrendous.